Maurice Hindus, who was born in Russia, emigrated to the United States, and spent much of the 1920s traveling around Chautauqua lecture circuit talking about Russia. And so his whole frame was, I have to explain Russia to the world. He wrote this book called Red Bread, which is about collectivization, which is a wonderful teaching resource because it is about him going back to his village. Each chapter has a main character, representative character from different aspects of collectivization. There's all this excitement and all this change, and contrast that to the U.S. And so that's very useful. And it's very easy for students to imagine what it would be like to come into this culture and to see these different characters. It's so descriptive because he was really trying to show to the outside world what Russia is like. If you contrast that to the documents that are indigenous to this process, they're not nearly as descriptive. Often they're more slogans. You have to look very, very hard to find an interesting character or to get that same sense of a narrative and a conflict and so on. And so it's much easier to use the travel account for teaching than to use these other sources. But what you're missing in the travel account is that larger picture. You can use the travel account that's very accessible for the students, but bring in other materials. And when you're looking at the character of the young woman revolutionary, compare that to petitions from older women. The young woman revolutionary who's gung-ho in favor of collectivization, petitions from older women who are much more critical or unhappy. In terms of understanding the source, you can say, well, why is it that he focuses on these characters and depicts them in a certain way and really look internally to the document? Why is he, in this case, literally so attracted to the young woman and dismissive of these others? Well, that's his narrative, the story he's interested in. You could ask a more imaginative question. How would you feel after being at sea for many months? And now you're coming close to land. What kinds of things would you be thinking? What's their purpose in going into this harbor? Are they looking for people? Are they looking for shelter? Are they looking for land? Ask if they've had a similar experience or imagine one of going into a very different culture community for the first time. What would they look for? Or if an outsider came into their community, how much would they understand what was going on? Somebody came into a student dorm and didn't speak English. How much would they understand? If this is something you're encountering for the first time, what are you looking for and how much are you missing? If you go to Vienna and you hit 6 bars, that's your travel account. Is that going to be an effective source for Europe in the year 2003? Ask students to imagine the process of creating these accounts